Hi, I'm Tyler, and welcome to another episode of my Christian Music Week reviews. Each week I take 5 releases, albums, EPs, or singles, and after I listen to them all week, I come back here and I review them. I share what I think about them. So without further ado, let's get to this week's first release. The reimagined version of Michael W. Smith's Worship album, Worship Forever. Michael W. Smith's new reimagined edition of his album Worship Forever. Let's dive into it. So, this album was recorded live in celebration of 20th anniversary of his album Worship, and he reimagined most of the album. The only changes in the track list here are, instead of Purified, is Angus Day, which originally appeared on the Worship Again album. And then there's also a reprise of Forever, and then a combination of his more recently recorded worship songs, Waymaker and Surrounded, along with a new song, Sing Again. And as for the sound here, what's different, what's the same? Oh, by the way, he also brought a few guests on this album too, including Amy Grant, Torrin Wells, and Matt Redman. And as for what's different, what's the same sound-wise, so a lot of songs are playing the same key. All the songs are playing the same key, for the most part. The big difference, I would say, is the violin kind of comes in a little bit stronger on this version, even over the piano. Even though there's definitely piano here for sure. But the violin part is more emphasized for sure and gives it a little more of a theatric feel, I would say. And as for the lyrics here, really good lyrics here. Talks about needing to come back to a vision of God as he truly is. Desperately need to come back to a vision of God as he truly is in his faithfulness, love, power, and holiness. Up next, Jeremy Camp's new album, When You Speak. Jeremy's new album, When You Speak. Let's dive into it. But before I do, let me just say this came across as a request from David. Thanks, David, for requesting. Now, let's dive into it. So, pretty good album here. Stylistically, definitely got a pop feel to it overall. Some upbeat pop, some pop ballads. We also have worship songs on here, and even a few tracks that are basically contemporary. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. Touches on a few different themes. Jeremy talks about how when the ground is shaking, how God's love and promises study his anxious heart, study Jeremy's anxious heart. And Jeremy also talks about how Jesus can change anyone in sin. And Jeremy talks about how his desire is for Jesus to consume him. So pretty good lyric themes here. Up next, Francesca Battistelli's new single, God is Good. Francesca Battistelli's new single, God is Good. Let's dive into it. Before I do, let me just explain that this song is for the upcoming movie, God's Not Dead, We the People, which is going to come out in October. And Francesca also acts in the movie. Now, let's dive into the song itself. So, pretty good song here. Stylistically, definitely a pop ballad feel with the piano and drum, and then a country feel. I know, unexpected from Francesca with the banjo, but it sounds good here. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. Francesca talks about how joy comes and tears fall, but she finds there is beauty in it all. Since our good God is over it all and with us in it all. Up next, KB's new single, Worship in the Moshpit. KB's new single, Worship in the Moshpit. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good single here. Stylistically, definitely got a trap feel with the piano and bass. But the electric guitar definitely sticks in a little bit of rock influence. A couple hints of rock influence here as well. And as for the vocals here, definitely all rapping. We also do have a gospel sample at the very end, it sounds like. And as for the lyrics here, KB talks about how he's here with the saints, not to be a star, but to go off praising God's glory. Up next, our last release for today, Cade Thompson's new album, debut album, Bigger Story. Cade Thompson's debut album, Bigger Story. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good debut album here. Stylistically, definitely got a pop feel. Instrumentally, bass guitar, bass, piano, and synth. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here too. Love the lyrics to this album, actually. Cade talks about how when he feels like he has nothing left to give, God is his more than enough provider that is writing the best story for him possible. And so Cade doesn't have to be stronger than whatever he faces. Cade also talks about how it's never too late for Jesus to give anybody new beginnings. And Cade also talks about how looking into God's eyes can give us peace in this world of trouble. Well, that's it for this week. Come back next week for 5 more releases. If you like what you saw in this video, please subscribe. I put out videos every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. If you have any thoughts on today's releases or what I may have said about them, let me know that in the comments below. Also in the comments, you can let me know if there's any awesome releases that came out today that you want to see in next week's video. Also, check out the playlist section for my Music Muffin Streams playlist available here on YouTube and on Spotify. This month featuring artists like Aaron Schust, 10th Avenue North, We Are Messengers, Building 429, Kane, and others. So feel free to go and check that out. Well, go now. See you next week. Bye.